So when you think of ending school segregation, you probably think of the Brown versus the Board of Education in 1954. But here's the twist. Mexican Americans had been fighting that fight and winning many years prior to this. And their victories changed the US forever. In the 1940s, many school districts had separate and rundown schools for Mexican American children. These children were labeled as unfit, dirty, and slow learners just because of their last name and skin color. And in 1945, Gonzalo and Felicitas Mendez tried to enroll their daughter into Westminster Elementary School, a whites-only school. The school said no because she was Mexican American, and instead Sylvia was sent to a segregated Mexican-only school. See, the Mendez family, they didn't back down, however. They ended up filing a lawsuit against the school district, and their case became the Mendez versus Westminster case. And in 1947, the court ruled that segregating Mexican American students was unconstitutional. It was the first case to successfully strike down segregation in the United States, and it directly paved the way for the Brown versus the Board of Education case 7 years later. In fact, the NAACP filed a supporting brief for this, written by a lawyer named Thurgood Marshall, who would later argue the Brown versus the Board of Education at the Supreme Court. But that wasn't the only fight. Mexican Americans won another landmark case called Hernandez versus Texas. Pete Hernandez, in the middle, was a farm worker, and he was indicted for a crime in Jackson County, Texas. But here's the problem. In 25 years, not a single Mexican American had been chosen to be on the jury, even though Mexican Americans made up 10% of the population in the county. And his lawyers, they argued that this was discrimination. And the US Supreme Court, they agreed. They agreed that the 14th Amendment Equal Protection Clause didn't just apply to black and white citizens, but also to Mexican Americans and other ethnic groups. And this expanded civil rights protections for everyone. So when we talk about civil rights history, it's not about just one person or one case. The Mendez family ended school segregation for Mexican American kids. Pete Hernandez's case proved Mexican Americans had equal rights under the law. And these victories set the foundation for the ruling in the Brown versus the Board of Education case. You know, the case that pushed civil rights forward.